morning, Dubai. Welcome back to Lovin Dubai Show, where we go through the top trending stories that everyone across the country is talking about. Our top story for you today is Dubai upgrades roads with major maintenance efforts.
And as well, construction has begun on the aerial taxi vertiport near DXB.
Also, new fines for pesky lane cutters. We're going to talk all about it.
And movies in concert is coming to Abu Dhabi.
And the amazing story of the couple who biked all the way from Pakistan to the UAE.
And in today's rapid weather report, expect highs of 32 degrees. Humidity currently is at 80%, but it's expected to drop later in the day.
And later on in the show, we're sitting down with the world's youngest Ironman champion. We're so excited to welcome Sam Laidlow onto the show. So if you have aspirations to take part in an Ironman, get your questions in. We'll see them mainly on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you watch the show. Before we get to all of that, November 14th, we celebrate a very special day.
Which is Sheikh Fazza. I mean, happy birthday to
Happy
His Highness.
birthday, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, Crown Prince of Dubai. And Annika also, because they share birthday.
I mean, it's amazing. If I was Annika, I would probably be around whenever I would mention my birthday, be like, oh yeah, by the way, it's the same day as Sheikh Fazza's birthday.
I think she does.
She does? Oh yeah, well, good for you, girl. Good for you, and happy birthday to you as well.
What star sign does that make them?
That makes them Scorpio.
Oh, what is a Scorpio?
I mean, Scorpios, I personally love Scorpios because I do get along with them. However, Scorpios at the beginning, when you meet them, they might be very intimidating.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
At the beginning, they are very intimidating. However, when you get to know them on like a deeper level, they are the cutest people ever, and they are so nice and so kind and so sweet. And I mean, this, of course, like, you know, like when it comes to your star sign, it's like, it's too complicated, you know? What's your star sign?
Well, I wanted to check if I'm compatible with Scorpios, just in case.
Are you?
I get the chance to meet. I'm a Leo.
Okay.
I'm not really too much into the star signs. Okay. Like, I like the idea of it, but I think people are people. But Scorpios and Leos have a complex compatibility because we are both strong-willed, passionate, and intense, which can lead to a powerful and exciting connection or a fiery clash. So, in case that meeting ever happens, this is what you could expect. But we're both passionate, loyal, confident, and ambitious.
I mean, of course, like for when it comes to your star sign, you're not only your sun sign, it's a lot of things that come within. However, I love Scorpios and I get along with them because I'm a Cancer myself.
Oh, I don't.
Literally, I mean, I'm a Cancer. However, I because I'm very like quiet. I'm more of like the whatever, kind of like a side, you know, like however, like, you know, with a Scorpio with their intensity, I think it's like, you know, it's like
mix and match, yin and yang.
Yeah, exactly, yin and yang.
Okay, so yin to the yang, and we're actually quite similar, I think, with Scorpios, Leos are. For more star sign updates, come back to the Lovin Dubai Show any morning. But let's jump into our top story of the day. Super exciting news. Construction has begun on Dubai's first aerial taxi vertiport. It's actually happening. This construction was inaugurated by none other than His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince of Dubai, and the aim is that it will be complete by 2026. It is a station, and there will be four, by the way, but the first has started down near Dubai International Airport. The second is going to be in downtown. The third will be in Dubai Marina, and the fourth will be in Palm Jumeirah.
Well, the new aerial taxi vertiport will span 3,100 square meters, handling 42,000 landings and 170,000 passengers annually, which, of course, I mean, I am so for those, I don't know, flying taxis.
They say it's going to cost the same, the plan is once they're up and running, it's going to cost the same amount as a Dubai taxi.
No way.
Well, let's see how that plays out, but that's the aim.
Okay, you know what? I don't want to believe that until I actually take that kind of like a taxi, and it's going to cost me as much as a normal taxi would.
Well, let's see. But before we get there, but the thing is, this is what Dubai is doing on every level to improve traffic. It's happening up here and it's also happening down here, which brings us to our next story.
Well, Dubai is upgrading roads with major maintenance efforts. So to further enhance road safety and efficiency and as well sustainability, Dubai's Road and Transport Authority RTA has completed vital preventive maintenance on 14 major roads and 9 key intersections across the city in the third quarter of 2024.
You may sleep, the RTA certainly does not. They have focused on a range of high traffic routes, including the Dubai Al Ain Road, the Jebel Ali Lahab Road, and also Al Ithiyad Street. These improvements span highways, inner routes, and also internal streets in both residential and commercial areas.
Now, in addition to major highways, several key streets across Dubai were also part of the upgrade, including Ras Al Khor Road and as well Al Ribat Street, Khalifa bin Zayed Street, and Al Musalla Street, among others. Of course, Hussein Al Banna, CEO of RTA's Traffic and Roads Agency, said, "We're using advanced smart technologies to monitor road conditions and predict maintenance needs. This not only ensures the long-term integrity of the roads, but also helps in maintaining smooth traffic flow across the cities."
We have so many stories on traffic and roads today. It's such a big topic in the city. We're going to jump next into fines. But on this road flow management, you're sitting in traffic day after day after day for an hour. Kirby, the man behind the scenes, said, he just waved, took him 2.5 hours to get home last night.
Oh my God.
It's shocking. But the RTA is working so hard. I was leaving JLT to get to Production City a few days ago, and a new road has opened. And previously, you were taking the road, I'm not great on road names, popping up, doing a loop-de-loop, and it would take 30, 40 minutes traffic, but that was just the way it was.
Okay.
This new road has opened, straight shot, 13 minutes. I could not believe it. I might be over-exaggerating, but like, it's, and then as soon as that road is there, traffic flows smoothly, and there's billions of dirham being put into these roads. So yes, it's super frustrating at the moment, but as soon as that new road is there, your life just changes. I was just thinking, like, anyone who is working in that area, their 40 minutes has just cut dramatically. It's phenomenal.
I agree with you because, you know, there's, I'm not going to mention the area. However, my mother's friend, he works at that area and lives in that area. However, a route that should take him like 2 to 4 minutes max during the rush hour takes him 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's
that is
like
devastating. For example, like yesterday, I left work and I recently moved, as you know, to Al Midan, and I love it. I love it there. However, I kid you not, the road shouldn't take me more than 25 minutes.
But they are, we know that.
So,
but there's been so much being put into place to fix it. So shout out the RTA. And also, it leads us nicely into our next story. Because new fines have been put in place. So, have you ever been stuck in one lane of never-ending traffic? We'll move on from traffic at some point, I promise you. Now, you're stuck in that one lane and the road to your right is moving swiftly, but you are being an amazing human waiting in traffic as it slowly budges along because you're trying to get in on that laneway. Then, out of nowhere, this happens. This car, this cutter dives in. And if you're fond of an orderly queue, this news that we're about to announce will be music to your ears.
Well, there's a 400 dirhams fine for this driving violation. So smart cameras can now detect drivers failing to adhere to the mandatory lane, and the violation is for switching lanes or merging incorrectly.
You can also face as well as fines, your vehicle could also be impounded for 14 days, which is kind of, we're seeing a shift in the way the roads are being managed in terms of they're really cracking down on this. They're really cracking down on distracted drivers because this situation leads to accidents. So does people on their phones leads to accidents, and therefore it makes traffic worse. From all levels, they're like less accidents, traffic flows more smoothly, because that's one of the big differences.
I agree with you. Like yesterday, the reason that the road took me so long is because of there was an accident.
Yeah.
And all I can think of is why would people put themselves in a situation where they are more prone to having accidents done, and maybe they will be not only be affecting their life and the person's life, but as well everyone's life that is behind them, that is on their way home, right? And it's like that triangle is created for a reason. So let's just like follow the rules and not.
Don't be a lane cutter. I was in an accident 2-3 days ago last week. Did I tell you?
No, are you? Like, I'm so glad you're fine. I'm so glad you're fine. But what happened?
I was leaving production. Maybe I mentioned it. I can't remember.
No.
I was leaving Production City. I was in a cab, and I was the cab was moving from one lane to the other, and I was looking at my phone, and I heard this big of like metal crashing, but it was really slow movement, and it was the truck going into the car I was in. Which was fine because we were moving slowly, no one was injured, but you're in the middle of a busy road, and the guys got out and started arguing, the two drivers, because it was a truck driver and a cab driver, but they didn't think about moving the car, and I was just sitting there like a sitting duck being like, we're in the middle of the road, and they were, obviously the cars were able to move off to the side, and there was traffic building up behind us, and I was so scared that a car was going to come in, but luckily we moved to the side, they took the photos, and we moved on.
Well, first of all, I'm so glad you're safe. Alhamdulillah as-salami. That's what we say in my country when the first one that happens, we say Alhamdulillah as-salami. I'm so glad you're safe, Casey.
Yeah, okay. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, yeah,
Last
but
Friday.
like, because like as well, I understand there's a lot of frustration on the roads when there is a lot of traffic and every car wants to like have like head and they want to move, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna let that car move. Guys, chill. It's fine. There is room for everyone. We all can do it, and we're all gonna reach. You know what I mean? Like, you going in front of another car is not gonna get you to reach 5 minutes earlier.
Well, it might do,
It's
but
not-
you shan't.
I mean-
it might. In fact, that's exactly what it will do. But it's illegal, and your car will be impounded if you do it. So don't do it. Let's jump into our next story. We're so excited about this. One of my favorites, movies in concert, is coming to Abu Dhabi. So we have some major news for you. You need to get your tickets now. Head to Etihad Arena on Yas Island from January 16th to 18th, 2025, and take a walk down memory lane with the Movies in Concert series, which is part of the Abu Dhabi Classical Concert Series. The world-renowned 21st Century Orchestra, led by conductor Ludwig Wicki, will bring to life some of the most iconic scores in a spectacular live performance.
Well, you will get to hear legendary soundtracks from films like Disney's Frozen, Jurassic Park, Lion King, and Top Gun Maverick. Of course, now all performed by an orchestra famous for its emotional power and precision. Now, it's a perfect mix of cinema and live music, and of course, you don't want to miss that.
So get your tickets now. They start at 75 dirham. They're available for you to grab. So get yours today at ethihadarena.ae. You can also get them on platinumlist.net. I liked how you said there was kind of an emotional power to the music, because this event could pass by you. You may not go, but actually, I feel like this is one that you'd remember.
For sure, because,
forever.
Yeah, for sure, because you know what, I still till this day remember the first time that I watched Frozen with my cousin in the cinema, and I thought I was like, oh, very mature and everything. I was like, oh, why am I watching Frozen with my cousin in the cinema? And then I remember like we recreated the Anna Elsa scene back because we were having a sleepover, and I mean, I miss you, girlie, but yeah, I remember, and it was very like emotional, and watching that, I think that would be like the perfect, like trip down memory lane
for all of the soundtracks, because it's Frozen, it's Jurassic Park, it's Top Gun Maverick, like such great tunes, and one for all ages as well. I think the kids will love this, and so will we. Pretend grown-ups. Let's jump into our next story. A couple bikes from Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, would you do this? Because like a couple biked from Pakistan. The reason they wanted to come to the UAE. However, of course, they had to pass through other cities, and they had a stop at Sharjah. So a couple from Pakistan has made an incredible journey from their home country to Dubai, biking across endless kilometers and challenging terrains on their way to Dubai. They stopped by in Sharjah, where they were spotted on their long and demanding rides. Now, the road ahead was, of course, tough, but their dream kept going.
So, biking countless kilometers, and their shared dream to reach the UAE and mark a milestone in their memorable journey. So their journey continues to inspire. Basically, if you're thinking of a road trip, you've manifested this story, get your bike and get on the road because you could do it. Have you seen, is it Long Way Down with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman?
Oh my God, I haven't, no.
So it's a documentary, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they had an African adventure, they went to South America, and then they did one from the UK, biking by land this way around the world through Mongolia, through Russia, and landing back in New York, so across Canada, across the States. And it's like the most inspirational biking story, and it's, I think, inspired so many people for motorbike adventures. Like my fiance has always said he's wanted to do a motorbike adventure. I was like, not my thing. And I saw this documentary, and it's just you in the land and your tent and your bike and Charlie Boorman, and it's so good. And I can see that. You can see why people look at this and think, wow, what an amazing journey.
That is because, you know, to be honest with you, of course, all I'm thinking is, how was the ride with him and his wife? They probably had like a lot of arguments.
No,
like,
it was.
No, you're going the wrong way.
No, they're friends.
There. Oh, they're friends.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I thought you meant that.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean the couple.
Yeah, sorry.
I
don't
Dubai.
know.
No, all I'm thinking of is probably like I was imagining scenarios in my head.
Yeah.
I'm very, like a bit delulu, but it's fine. So I was like thinking like, probably like he was like, stop talking, I know where I'm going. And then she's probably like, but I'm telling you, it's right there. You have to go to that right turn. And I wonder who was holding the Google Maps. How did they know the road, you know?
What an existential question. Literally, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I was like wondering, you know? And I was like, yeah, he probably had like the Google Maps, or she probably had the Google Maps. And she was like, babe, I'm telling you, you have to go to the right, not the left. And how many times did they, mix up between the roads and everything? I mean, I go from one area to another in Dubai, and I make one mistake.
And they made it internationally.
Literally.
How on earth? I don't know, but I'm sure one of them had who knows, but they did it. Speaking of long journeys, we're so excited to welcome our next guest. But before we do, as Mira says, today is Faz's birthday. We're talking about the roads. We spoke about Fazza. If you missed it, download our podcast and you can hear all about it, and also an amazing tribute that we posted on our feed to the Crown Prince of Dubai on his birthday. Next up, we're going to be joined by the world's youngest ever Ironman champion. His name is Sam Laidlow. He'll be on the show after this very short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai Show. Swim, bike, run. It sounds easy, but that it is not. Today's guest is Sam Laidlow, the youngest ever world Ironman champion. He is in fact regarded as one of the best triathletes in the world. So we're so excited to dig deep into that. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. You've just come off the back of Kona, Hawaii. You are one of the world's best triathletes. How did you get into the sport?
I've been in it forever. Yeah, I did my first triathlon when I was 4 years old.
What?
Yeah, just like a mini triathlon. My dad was into it, and my parents moved to France to set up a triathlon training camp business. So yeah, I've been doing it since I can remember, really.
Okay, so in the blood.
In the blood, yeah.
Currently, let's say pre-Kona, what was your? Because I know you've had a small injury, but what was your training schedule like to get ready for a big race?
So yeah, depending on where we race, we're doing more and more heat prep. So for races like here in Dubai, it can obviously get very hot. I was in Hawaii; it's also pretty hot there. So yeah, I'd say we train between 20 to 35 hours a week. We normally do 2 to 3 sessions a day, and then sometimes on top of that, we'll do some gym work or some specific heat prep, which means basically getting in a hot room, putting a load of clothes on and suffering for an hour or so, which isn't super enjoyable. But,
like a sauna?
Yeah, well, kind of. You can't, if you can fit your bike in a sauna, then you can use a sauna. Otherwise, yeah, you just shut yourself in a room, stick the heating on, put a few clothes on, and yeah, that's generally what we're doing. So yeah, I think more and more athletes are doing that because there's been more research to show that is beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find if you've trained in a hot country like Dubai and then you go and do a run in the UK, for example, you're much more powerful?
Yeah, you do really notice it. Yeah, just everything's much harder in the heat. It's kind of similar to altitude as well. Like a lot of athletes go up to altitude to train, but then they get the benefits when they come down. And yeah, more and more so people are realizing that actually heat has a similar effect.
Speaking of preparation, how strict have you been or are you on your diet? Is there certain foods you avoid? Are you relaxed?
Yeah, I feel our sport is kind of hard enough as it is, or like the lifestyle is hard enough as it is. So if you're also too strict on yourself about that, then you kind of lose balance and lose the enjoyment factor. And as soon as you lose balance, you can't really keep consistency over a long term. And consistency is what kind of brings you victories, I guess. And so yeah, there's been periods in my career where I've been a bit too strict. Yeah, I had a whole year where I was just like overly focused on my weight, and yeah, that wasn't healthy. I was both mentally and physically I wasn't performing that year. So yeah, now I've just learned to I tried to eat healthy, of course, but I mean last night I had a pizza, so yeah, I guess not.
That year when you really focused on getting super healthy, were you preparing for something particular that you just wanted to smash?
Not particularly. It was more that my weakness has always been running, and I was just adamant that if I was lighter, I'd be a better runner. But that wasn't the truth. You also have to be strong and healthy. And actually, like more and more so, I realized that health is like the main thing that you need to be very good at. And I think the best athletes in the world, they are very, very healthy because you need to cope with so much training and not getting ill, not getting injured. And yeah, I mean, my recent injury is probably a good example of that. I came off of Hawaii, like a big travel, and then when you're traveling, it's hard to eat well, hard to sleep well, and I just did my normal training, but I wasn't as healthy as usual, and yeah, managed to rip my hamstring.
So sorry to hear about that injury, which means you're not going to be racing this weekend?
Yeah, unfortunately I won't, but instead I'm here to promote it.
And we are lucky to have you, like I said, one of the world's best triathletes. So we need to get into some advice. You mentioned that you felt like your weakness is running. For anyone watching who's in triathlon, like how would you suggest they balance out their trainings if they have a weakness in a certain sport?
Yeah, well, I think triathlon always seems like a big word to people. They're like, oh, that's like super long, super hard to do for like endurance freaks. But there's all sorts of distances, and often like people do maybe have a bike or have ridden a bike and they have run before, and it's often people's weakness is often the swim actually for people who come to triathlon. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, find a swim coach, someone that makes you kind of feel more comfortable in the water to start off with. And then, yeah, I guess just kind of like registering for a small event, getting started like that. But yeah, I think a lot of people, especially people who have kind of a 9-to-5 job or something, when they do train, they probably train too hard because they want to compensate for that kind of lack of time that they've had to train. So they'll just go and do 30 minutes of like hit intervals. But actually, if you do want to get better, one of the best ways to do it is to start off like really easy and mostly do what we call aerobic training. So yeah, I mean, if you were to use a kind of like rated perceived exertion, I think it's more beneficial to do maybe 30 minutes at kind of like 3 to 4 out of 10 than it is to go and do 30 minutes at 9 out of 10. You'd get more benefit from that, and you'd probably enjoy it more and more likely to go back to sessions and do it more regularly.
Right. Rich back there, I hope you're taking notes. Let's move from small race suggestions to big races. Can you give people an idea of what type of races you've competed in, which ones you've won, and for you, your most memorable race to date?
Yeah, so I've always been, like, my goal and dream has always been to be the best long distance triathlete. So we kind of have two, traditionally before the Team 100 came along, there was short course athletes which kind of raced on at the Olympics and Olympic distance, which is about a 2-hour event. And then I did what we call Ironman, so that's more an 8-hour event. And then the T100 has come along, and now we have a race which is kind of slap bang in the middle of it, and it brings the best athletes from both circuits. And so my biggest achievement is being Ironman world champion, which happened last year in Nice in France, and then this year I won London T100 and came second in the last series in Ibiza. So yeah, they would be my 3 best results.
It's so amazing, and congratulations for that. You know, some of the stepping stones that people find difficult to even consider these types of races, it's not the physical ability. I feel like it's the mental. So how do you prepare yourself mentally for these long races? Because you're going in to win it, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. This year, actually, when I went to Hawaii, was the first year that I employed someone kind of specifically to help me with that. So he came to Hawaii with me, and he's like my effectively mental coach, you know. So yeah, it's something that I'm still learning, but equally I don't feel you need to necessarily employ someone. I just think that I've found anyway that when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, whether it be in sport or anything in life, that's when you tend to grow the most. You know, you likely fail or likely have a bad time, but you learn a lot from them moments. So yeah, and just over time, putting myself in these uncomfortable situations, I feel like I've kind of gained some sort of resilience.
So what happened during the Kona race?
Given that horrendous photo that you put on the back of it, that's how I finished.
Masa! Casey!
No, yeah, so I basically, everything was going to plan until it wasn't. I was leading the race by quite some margin, but I messed up my hydration strategy. I took on too many electrolytes at one point, and it kind of just created an imbalance in my stomach. And I thought I was going to win it, and then suddenly I just started seeing stars. And yeah, the last 25 kilometers of the marathon were just kind of me, hobbling around really. And I finished in a really bad way, as you can see there. That's actually my mum behind looking at. It looks like she's looking at my bum, but she's not. And so unfortunately, Ironman is and long distance triathlon in general is such a long event that if you're kind of slightly off of it, it's very, like, if you come into that day at 99% and not 100%, it's very difficult to win these races. Yeah.
So sorry we've used that photo. It's not. We should have a victorious shot. But you mentioned hydration strategy and that you messed it up. So, like, for those of us who are a bit unfamiliar, how do you plan a hydration strategy? What does it look like? And then where did you go wrong on race day with that?
Yeah, so hydration is very individual, and it also changes depending on how much time you've spent in certain conditions. So maybe someone who's moved to Dubai, for instance, when initially they get here, and so often what tends to happen is when people get used to exercising in the heat, they start sweating more because it's your body's natural way of kind of cooling itself down. And then you get people that are what we call salty sweaters and not so salty sweaters. So some people lose a lot of sweat and salt. Some people just lose a lot of sweat. So trying to measure that out, a very easy way is to, for instance, just weigh yourself before and after, let's say a 2-hour bike ride or 1-hour run session, and then you can calculate how much you've lost. You'd obviously have to compensate for how much you've drunk also. So if you've drunk 2 liters during the session, then you obviously add that. And that's a good start. And then just making sure you kind of keep topped up. Make sure you don't probably lose more than like 3 to 4 liters over your whole session. Then it starts getting obviously detrimental to your recovery.
And is there a way to monitor that mid-race?
There are systems that are coming into place, but I wouldn't say they're super precise right now. We do wear some monitors that kind of track your sweat rate and stuff, but you wouldn't check it in the race. I mean, you kind of, if you're thirsty, then you probably just need to drink.
Right.
That's probably the best indicator.
I feel like we're a city that would have like all of the gear, you know. So if it's there, we would have it to improve our Ironmanning. But we mentioned. We want to talk about burnout in endurance sports. So earlier on, you mentioned you had a pretty rough year where you kind of focused on so much on your diet and it actually didn't work out for you. Have you ever kind of experienced a feeling of burnout in relation to endurance sports?
Yeah, massively. So when I was that year when I kind of starved myself, didn't help probably because I didn't have any sugar going to my brain. But I went through a phase when I was 18, let's say, where I generally questioned if I kind of had a future in this sport. Luckily, I had some supportive people around me that kind of kept me on the right track. But that was mostly due to when you're a kid, you kind of naturally get put into these boxes or like, okay, you need to study this. And I was doing triathlon at the same time. And as a youngster, triathlon, you had to do short course. So go towards the Olympic event, and for me that just wasn't what I wanted to do really, and so I was really one of the first kind of juniors to say, okay, I'm just going to go straight to long course, and so I did my first long distance event when I was 18 years old, but at that time I still wasn't good enough, and everyone was questioning what I was doing, so I just felt like I just made a load of bad decisions, and so I was just training probably too much, not eating enough, and I just lost the enjoyment. I think I was kind of almost overly disciplined, and as I said before, as soon as you lose that balance, it's very, very difficult to perform. And I don't just think that's in sport. I think it's in anything. If you're too addicted to work, for instance, and don't enjoy anything around of it, you're probably burnt out as well.
You have been in the industry since you were 4. You've seen a lot of changes. And I just wonder, now we all have access to the internet. We all have access to all of the gear. We can be at our top level, nutrition-wise, physically and mentally. So what, in your opinion, makes someone number one? What gives you an edge over your competitors, do you think?
I would say, I've always said that my greatest kind of ability is to actually bring great people together and motivate them, because yes, it's an individual sport, but when you get to a high level of anything, you need a good team around you. And because, for instance, I'm a good athlete, but I'm not the best coach. I'm not the best nutritionist. I'm not the best aerodynamicist. The list could go on. Not the best doctor, etc., physio. And I find it really important to kind of bring people together. I enjoy bringing people together and motivating them towards a common goal more than anything.
Interesting. And give us a better idea of what brings you to Dubai.
What brings me to Dubai is the T100, the grand final. It's been a pleasure to race this series all year long. Unfortunately, I can't compete in the grand final, but I still want to be here to not only promote the event, but mostly to see my friends race, friends and competitors, and just watch a great event. I think, this is the first year, obviously, where we have a real series with a grand final like this, so it'll be exciting for the sport,
And have you visited Dubai before?
No, it's my first time,
Okay. We have a big triathlon scene in Dubai, and I just wonder, have you got a sense of or what were your first impressions of the scene here since you've arrived?
Yeah, so I was actually really, if I'm going to be honest, I wasn't looking forward to coming to Dubai in terms of the city, not for the race. It wasn't something that appealed to me, to be honest. But actually, when I first got here, I was actually surprised, by just the sporting community in general. I was staying in District 1 for a bit, and obviously it was kind of prime area to train over there. And I don't think I went for a run or cycle where I didn't kind of get encouraged by some fans or anything. So it was nice. And then just the whole kind of vibe around the coffee shops and stuff like that is nice here. You see people outdoors really early, and that's great to see.
Love that. Sam Laidlow, thank you so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And that brings us to the end of the Lovin Dubai Show. We're back here with you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Cool.
Sorry about that.